It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com. And let's start this again. Welcome, everybody, to our Daily Gun Show. We come to you live, well, hopefully every weeknight. And ideally, we'd be doing this at midnight, but we don't quite do it at midnight anymore. But the old spiel was we'd come to you live every night at midnight, and we talk about guns. Well, this is episode 1700 tonight. And I just spent the last, 10 minutes or something talking to the dog over here, because I didn't realize I didn't press the button all the way to start the show. So you don't necessarily get good after 1,700 episodes. You just do 1,700 episodes. So anyhow, sorry about the delay there. We were waiting for Gizzards' show to stop because why not? He does his show. He overlapped a little bit. He corked us a little bit. But then, I started up. And I've been talking to the dog over here. So hopefully this time, give me some feedback. Let me know that I'm actually broadcasting live here tonight. We're on episode 1700. Let me go back and talk a little bit about that before we talk about all of this stuff. Patches over here. What's going on over here? But we're taking a look at the show today, episode 1700. I've just been talking for 10 minutes about this, so I'll try to wrap it up a little bit less wordy, I guess, since I've already had one run through of this. But first, thanks to the people that listen to this, both live and the people that are listening to this in a podcast. We have our little puppy co-host over here snoring, so it's going to sound like there's a bunch of noises in the background, but that's because I like to have a little puppy co-host here. This is episode 1700. We started this back in 2016 when Bob, the first co-host, came down from Canada and spent some time in Arizona. And on that trip, we decided, let's start this podcast. And 1,700 episodes later, I was saying we took a break there for a bit, and that's when the barbecue show started up. So thanks for the feedback. Much appreciated. We started doing this show back in 2016, and it's been going for a while. It's had lots of different versions and kind of seasons, I guess, over the years. Like anything, at least anything creative, anything that's trying to do something. We're not just a broken record doing the same thing over and over with new lyrics. We're trying out things and doing stuff. So we appreciate the opportunity to do that. We do that with the help of people. We're not doing this alone. There's nothing I've been able to do out here alone. We do this with a group of people. Back in the Gun Channels days, we had a ton of people participate in all kinds of collaborative projects. We had tons of creative people jumping in and doing interesting things at a time when there was a bunch of different organizations kind of emerging and needing assistance of people who had the skills. So it was a great time. So we've had some really creative times during the show. For a long time, when Bob came out in 2016, when Bob came out here to Arizona, he was just traveling for the summer just to do a road trip. And that's when we decided, hey, let's get the show on the road. Literally started up the podcast and then got on the road. And that's where I kind of found my interest in checking out all the different 30-something firearms museums that we visited. I've already had a couple of road trips under the belt, but bringing the gun podcast along, the Daily Gun Show podcast along, made it just was the perfect match. It's the perfect mix, having the Daily Gun Show podcast and going out to the destination of gun shows on weekends and gun shops during the week. It was great. We went into a little bit of debt doing that, but totally worth it. And now that that's not an issue anymore, we're back up and rolling. And it's been a lot of fun and an honor to be able to do this stuff. So thanks to all the people that make it possible. We do have a bunch of Patreons that have made it possible over the years for us to be able to do this stuff. We've done some crowdfunding projects. So there's a lot of people that make things possible, and it's fun to see the results of combined effort. So with that in mind, tonight we're going to play around a little bit because we have a feature that not everybody has on YouTube. We can thumb up our super chats over here, or you can thumb up super chats. So any super chats today are going to be going to do whatever you. Oh, we're going to do something in the super chats. How about best ice cream flavor or favorite ice cream flavor? I guess there's no best. So you put in your super chat for any number of dollars or whatever, and then it's on. I think I don't know if it does the stamps or not. I think it was just the super chats, right? But anybody that feels like participating, type in a something about a ice cream flavor, and then why people should thumb up your super chat. And the more you super chat, the more you can type in there. And then the winner of the super chats thumbed up situation tonight will be getting a pile of these patches over here. Let's take a look at them. So these are from SHOT Show. This is it's a 2024 Glock patch. Got a Gun Owners of America, Deer Don't Wear Kevlar Vests. Got a Shellback Tactical. This one is from Safety Harbor Firearms, and that was from 2023. They gave me a bunch of last year's patches, but you'll get a SHOT Show patch from last year there. A Precision Armament. This Trump one that says, when your Form 4 gets denied for a typo. I didn't realize that these have different sayings on them because I just realized I have a bunch of these and they have different sayings on them, so that's kind of neat. Another Gun Owners of America says we are no compromise. This one that's a V, and I can forget whose this one is, but I know it's from downstairs in the law enforcement rooms. I'm pretty sure. And then this one is Palmetto State's 2024 SHOT Show patch. So nice stack of patches. Any value of super chat tonight, so you can put in a $1 super chat if it lets you. I don't really remember how it works, but you don't have to. But if you want to, you're going to get one of these. The one that gets the most thumbs will get this pile of patches. Let's put it that way. I think we can safely say that anybody that does over let's say a $10 super chat will get a set of the ones that I have duplicates of. So if you do a $10 super chat or more, you're going to get a set of patches too. And we'll see. If anybody wants to participate in that, feel free. If you don't, I don't care, because these patches are going out to Patreons at some point. Then, and there's plenty. These are pretty much doubles here, I think. All right, so with that, again, we're at episode 1700. What we're going to be doing tonight is taking a look at essentially the description of the video, only instead of the boring, non-formatable version of it that's here on YouTube. From people that are listening as a podcast, I record this live on YouTube, and we'll talk to the people that are joining us live here in a second. But we're going to look at it over on Substack, which is one of our blogs, and it just is much better formatting. So as we are looking at stuff on the screen here on YouTube, we're going to be looking at our Substack blog, I guess is what I call it. So boom, we'll throw the link to that in there if anybody wants to check that out. You can subscribe to a Substack blog. It's like free. It turns it into an email essentially. So it's kind of like a newsletter that you can unsubscribe anytime you want. It just in case you don't see it or go to it, it'll show up for you. But we don't have a pay to play on really any of our platforms. People that either use the Patreon or the channel membership, every once in a while we'll ask them a question or offer them something first or something because they're helping us out. But most of the people know that they're helping us out with servers, software, and time. So most of them know that they're not doing this for like extra footage or behind the scenes. I just do everything live. So, you get what you get. So thanks to everybody who's participating in that. But as that is the case, this is live. I appreciate the interactive nature of the internet. So thanks to the people that are up late to be part of this. We also do this in the middle of the night because I've always been a third shifter. Is that what we are? Up in the middle of the night working, and very few things except for Art Bell happened live in the middle of the night. Used a lot of recordings and a lot of dead air, right? So even though we don't get ratings and we don't get as much participation in the middle of the night, everybody else can listen to a recording. I do this in the middle of the night live because I used to dig that. So thanks to the people that joined us live. So we got Alaska, Andy joining us. Thanks. Welcome. You're the first one in tonight. Ron Wayne. Hopefully you got that package. And happy anniversary. They're celebrating their 25th anniversary. Aldo saying hey. Welcome. Alaska is wonderful. Right on. And I think that's everybody. Oh no, Woods is joining us. Good afternoon. So if you're out there and you're joining us live, feel free to be part of the show, or you just sit there watching it. But this ain't the internet, or this ain't the television back in the old days, and this certainly isn't a newspaper where you can sit there and watch programming. I do this live. We offer this because it's the real deal. So be part of it if you want. All right, they'll dig in. In addition to the Substack we're looking at right now and the Instagrams that we'll talk about usually on Wednesdays, we've got this YouTube going on, but we also have the Patreon that we use as a blog and kind of an update, a place to update what we're doing. But then we also have a newsletter, so if you want to subscribe to that, feel free. Again, there's no cost on any of this stuff. The newsletters don't go out as often as the other things because it just takes too long to set them up, and we have no staff. So first thing we're going to take a look at is bullet points, news of the week. Most of these come from the NSSF newsletter, so thanks to them for gathering this, a lot of that data. Then we'll talk about mostly stuff that happened on YouTube, maybe a couple of things that happened on blogs that has to do with what our Second Amendment protects. That's what we're here for. And then after all that, we'll talk about some gun stuff, stuff that's gun nerd stuff and whatnot. That's useful, interesting, maybe something you aren't paying attention to. Then we'll talk about some tech. I'm sick of people talking about radios. People are going to try to make you buy radios because it's easy to sell you radios, and they probably make like $1 or 30 cents or something every time they sell you a radio. But there's better things to use than radios that aren't stupid. So we're going to talk about something tech tonight. And we'll thank Spiritus Systems for showing me this low-tech signaling video earlier in the week that got me all started on just getting annoyed at the radio people again. We'll take a look at gun calendars, depending on how late we go tonight. There's been some epic, really good military interviews. I always like them, but there's really good ones this week again. And then we'll talk about whatever we did this week, which isn't much. I've been working on other projects, as usual, trying to kill them bills that I alluded to earlier. So, again, thanks for joining us, and if you want to be part of the show, say stuff. Misty saying thanks, got the cool stuff. Right on. Cool. I just want to make sure it got there okay. Pennsylvania decided 4-3 that Philadelphia's ban on the possession and transfer of homemade guns. Yep, that's actually one of the things that the NSSF had brought up here as well. 4-3 transfer on homemade guns. That's frustrating. That's PR more than anything. That's the Overton window and that frustration, that effort that's consistent from the other side. And every time we pause on that one, every time we take for granted that we're not under attack and we're not pushing the window the other way, they're breathing, they're gathering their strength, they're gathering new volunteers, finding new strategies, and they're pushing that Overton window right back again. So every time we stop, which is to our detriment, and we just sit here going, oh, we're not under attack, let's worry about a fucking new grip angle or whatever, then we're letting them start regrouping. We never push that freaking window back, or we rarely push that window back. I shouldn't say never, that's a dumb move. We push that window back incrementally and nowhere near with the effort that we could be putting into it to just end this thing. The person snoring is our co-host here. Our co-host is this little dude. And, well, here's the deal. We went around on some adventures yesterday, and I'm pretty sure he's still tuckered out from those adventures. Today, I just let him run around the backyard a little bit, and he's worn himself out. He also napped a lot today. He ate twice already. I put some eggs. Oh, here, I'm going to make this a poll question later on tonight, but here's the second to jump into our poll over here. Every week we start off with this poll. How was this week for 2A? Was it great, good, okay, or bad? And if you want, feel free to leave a comment on why you think that. If you listen in the future, you can definitely participate. You're not here to be part of the actual calibration or whatever tabulation of it, but you can leave a comment. It's always good for the logarithm to leave comments on videos you think or any content that you think is valuable. But we're going to do another poll after this one. That'll be, I bought some eggs and I put them on the dashboard, right? Put the thing up on the dashboard so that the inside of the van doesn't get hot, whatever you call that, cover, windshield. What do you call that thing? Windshield, the sun visor. I think the sun shield or whatever. So I put that thing up. Then I totally forgot those eggs were there. So then the whole day happened and it got to 70 degrees today. So those eggs were in the front dash of the car at 70 degrees, right? And then I remembered they were out there, or I went out there to get something and I seen them there. Would you eat them eggs? We're going to make that a poll question later on. Would you eat them eggs? Or I'll have some other options up there. But right now the poll question is, how was this week for 2A? Let's see, we have 1,300 people watching right now, but not that many votes. So feel free to leave some votes over there. It's free. I know a lot of other channels will charge you to do the polls. We don't. You are able to, we worked it out with YouTube. We have that kind of relationship with them. So you can participate in the poll for free tonight. So feel free to participate in that poll. And if I can find it here, there we are. We'll update that in a little bit. And then we'll do the egg poll after that. All right. So, but thanks for the info about Pennsylvania. Let's see. All right, we need to realize Ron is trying to sneak through daily. Yep. So Ron Wayne did the first super chat tonight. Welcome. And yeah, you'll definitely be getting a set of patches. Now, I think I already set you that set of patches, so you can let me know if you want a duplicate, because you can have duplicates. People like to have duplicates for trade or whatever. Or if you want like a random other set from SHOT Show, I don't mind. But Ron Wayne says, when I was a kid, Superman ice cream was the best. Wonder if they still make it. So that's one. There's so far, there's just the one super chat, so he's going to win the whole deal. But even if there's another super chat that gets more thumbs up, Ron will still get patches because it's over $10 or whatever. So thank you for that. We're just saying good week because the sky isn't falling. It rarely does. I haven't been paying attention to know, are people crying about it or not? You know what I mean? Like the fact that it isn't falling is one thing, and that's good. But are they is there a lot of commotion about it? Because it doesn't matter if it is or isn't. There's, a whole nother parallel track is how often or how much intensity people are on the, it is falling kick. Let's see. Done on a rifle. Turned out super smooth. Really recommend tongue oil. It's been a long time since I've done something like that. But back in the day when you'd get stuff with cosmoline on it, oh man, talk about those conversations. You'd get the cosmoline out and you would just kind of really, how do you call that? What's the word for that? You'd make the wood very porous a lot of times. The stuff would get the cosmoline out, but you'd leave the wood where it was thirsty. Like you definitely needed to do something to that wood. That wasn't as gross as cosmoline. I was saying cosmoline too many times. Woods is going to leave. Okay, so anyway, we're digging into the beginning of the show here, essentially. Thanks, everybody, for joining us, and sorry again for the delay in the broadcast today. It wasn't Gizzard's fault. We're going to blame it on the co-host. All right, so again, I get most of this from the NSSF newsletter. You can subscribe to that for free. It's called the NSSF, like government newsletter or something. I'm definitely boiling it down, though. It's a huge newsletter, and they essentially kind of summarize all the articles. But let's dig in. So, I think somebody's yelling at the CDC about this, or maybe Congress, but from 2017 to 2019, so for those 2 years, Congress gave the CDC and the National Institute of Health $30 million to study firearms injuries. So I'm not good at presidential time frames, but would that have been Trump? Yeah, that would have been Trump, right? And that would have been kind of douchebaggery, considering CDC isn't supposed to be touching gun stuff. But wait, no, yeah. The CDC, yeah, Center for Disease Control. Yeah, they're not supposed to be touching gun stuff thanks to the Dickey Act. Am I correct? So I don't know where this even started being okay. But then, what's his face's regime over here jumped to 150 million. That's a lot of fucking money to people who are government employees who shouldn't even have a feather in this one, or what do you call it, a stake in this one. So that's frustrating as shit. I'd say that's on the bad news side, because this is going to be blown off by everybody. I don't know. I don't really follow too many giant gun things that are out there, but how many giant gun entities are getting too worried about this? All right, we'll move on. This is going to go unnoticed. The other side's probably cheering the shit out of this too. 12, because the other side can go, hey, we're using our tax dollars to do something. The other side don't even care, and we're doing something. Look how we pumped 150 million. Can you imagine the PR on the other side? All right, so 12 senators write Biden to stop export license bullshit. So Biden has been messing with export licenses, and I think it's because he doesn't like the way Israel is handing out rifles to people, or wants to hand out rifles. So he stopped the export, right? So how many senators are there? 12 of them write a letter to Biden. I bet you he's pissing his pants. Holy shit, 12 senators told me not to do something. Holy crap, I'm never going to do that again. He's downstairs worrying about what ice cream flavor. So this is, we got to count our victories. Got to count our wins, question mark. Be nicer to say 120 senators, right? Like, I don't know. Very political here. Lots of distractions. It's a what do you call it, election year. But since we're talking about ice cream, super chat with an ice cream flavor, and why people should thumb up your super chat, and you can compete with Ron Wayne, who did a $10 super chat earlier. Thank you very much. I have 3 servers that run all the websites, and then there's some software, like Adobe costs a couple of bucks a month, and there's some other software. Not a lot, but there's some software out there. So these super chats and things go towards those projects to keep everything online. So we appreciate that. So if you want to participate in that, there's a super chat up there for any amount. Put something in your super chat that would incentivize people to vote against Ron Wayne, or for you, not necessarily against Ron, but for you. And then if somebody else does that, we have a 3-way thing going, and then maybe 4 or 5. And not only do we get rich on this end, but everyone has a fun time thumb upping the different things. And I think you can unthumb, if I'm not mistaken. Let's double check over here. So let's see what we're talking about. Here's the super chat. You can tell because it's yellow, right? And then you can heart it over here, but you can also thumb it. And let's see. I just thumbed it. Can I unthumb it? Oh yeah. See, the potential is endless. So the whole thing is in competition for this. Where's my mouse at already? This pile of SHOT Show patches that are sitting here under the watchful eyes of the sleeping animal, right over here. And you'll get that mess of patches, whoever gets the most thumbs up. Not the biggest super chat. That would be giving it to the rich people, essentially. Letting the rich people auction it off. But instead, this is a battle of wits, I guess, or whatever you type in there. Wits and comedy. Wits and hilarity. All right, so then the 12 senators write Biden. Next one is HR 7430, a Bipartisan Public Lands Act, which would ban the sale or transfer of the most public lands managed by the Department of the Interior or the Forest Service. So I don't know necessarily why that's in the NSSF one, I guess because of hunting. That's an interesting one. And I don't follow any hunting channels. And the hunting, well, I guess I shouldn't say that. The hunting channels I follow never talk about laws or any kind of public policy. When I've lived in places, and I live in some, the West now, but when I've lived in way more rural places than I live now, where the Forest Service and its dictates were massively more influential because everybody survived off of the Forest Service's whims. And then you got different environmental influences. We think the gun lobby and the anti-gun lobby are a fight. Have you ever fought with land usage? It's a whole nother thing. I don't know if you're a horseback rider or a mountain biker or an off-roader, of course, gun owners, but bird watchers, hang gliders, people that want to use our shared public lands have all kinds of interesting things. And then you get into mining and timber and other resources that get harvested off of our public lands, and people that have seen the horrible raping of our lands. We can have whole conversations about that. And then, we've got industry, so having one rich guy who wants to take advantage and abuse cattle permits, okay, what's one thing? What about when it's an international company that's sick of growing crops in their country because they got all kinds of restrictions and they start growing crops on our public lands that are horribly wasteful and using up all our water, shit like that. Like, that gets pretty annoying. So that's a whole thing. It's not really gun related, but this one is in the NSSF's list, so I'm putting it in here. But essentially, I think it's just up there. I don't think it's been voted on yet. They're just putting it out there. But the Bipartisan Public Lands Act, and it says which would ban the sale or transfer of public lands. I'm kind of down for that. One of the things that makes the United States different is that we have shared public lands. It's a little bit communist, but we have things like old growth forest. Go ask Canada, big ass socialist Canada up there. Everybody owns everything. How much old growth forest do they have? I think the answer is less than 5%. And we don't have a shit ton, but we have more than most countries. And that's because back in the day, some of our more communist leaning presidents said, hey, we own a bunch of this shit and you can't just destroy it. You can't just buy it and destroy it. So, things like aspirin, you think that's some scientist pooped aspirin out his butt? Or do you think aspirin is just a plant that grows out here on the side of the road in Arizona? Yeah, aspirin just looks like a weed out here. That's where aspirin comes from. So we think we know everything, but really we're just figuring out stuff, and if we destroy old stuff, we're dumb. So I kind of down with the idea of not selling this stuff, but that's not always saving it either. So interesting, but I don't know how deep people want to get into that kind of conversation. Woods is saying Canada has massive old growth forests in BC. They may have some, but unless I'm wrong, unless something's changed, I guess, or if I did my math, or I'm remembering things wrong, they've forested the shit out of their shit, and we leave a lot of our stuff alone. Okay, so Iowa passed the 2A Privacy Act, which is essentially, I think the Iowa one says that if a company is anti-gun, then they're not allowed to get any money from the state of Iowa. I think that's it. I might be mixing that one up. But it's bipartisan, and it's 68-27. So I guess that's a good thing, considering I was thinking this is a good one because isn't Iowa one of those states where people look to for kind of to see how the presidential election might go? Because it's one of the first primaries or something. I'm not claiming to be a political expert, but it seems like that's a state you hear a lot about. So knowing that they're passing something like this in the environment that we're in right now, look at Missouri. Missouri had a lot of things that they could have done, but they just sat on their hands because it wouldn't be proper. So if Iowa's passing stuff over here that's pro-gun at a time when they could have just as easily got the PR points to their, they think they get the PR points for saying we're not going to do nothing. I don't know. Am I too optimistic there? But that seems like interesting. Let's see. Then we got Minnesota doing HF 3570 legislation to ban modern sporting rifles. I don't know why everybody's calling them that, but now we get to call ARs a different name. And then we also have this also Minnesota. I didn't do the bullet points very good. House File 3813 and Senate File. I guess Minnesota doesn't have bills. They have files. Which would prohibit the use of ammunition for traditional ammunition for hunting. So, we go, oh, the NRA didn't do shit. People were in the last chat, Gizzards' chat, oh, the NRA didn't do shit. The NRA doesn't do shit. Well, if you don't pay attention to what the NRA has done in the past, then the NRA hasn't done shit. But taking it for granted, the situation we're at with ammunition and hunting today in 2024 is ignoring everything that's been done by probably our grandfathers, maybe our fathers, but probably our grandfathers and grandmothers. So challenges to hunting ammunition, challenges to our land use, challenges to habitat, and challenges to conservation are all things that historically we've had. And that's when the NRA was debating in the 70s if they should become political or not. So, ignoring all that, fine. But essentially because we have ignored all that, because it's not just part of our gun owners' history or our Second Amendment enthusiasts awareness, they're going to come at us with, oh, your ammunition is too leady. Oh, your ammunition is too loud or whatever. Oh, your ammunition is too whatever it is, too coppery, too expensive, too loud, too far, whatever. They're going to complain about everything they possibly can, but they're not taking it from new ideas. They're taking it from this playbook from, in this case, the 70s, maybe even earlier. I don't even know. Actually, that would be interesting. Is there a book out there? Has somebody seen the reference or the research, I guess, on when the whole anti-gun thing started? I mean, I know in 68 we started to see some. So was it a communist thing from the 60s when we started to kick their ass in the Cold War? Okay, well, what's it saying? Iowa is a swing state? Should we get a co-host again? I don't know. This co-host kind of sucks. All he does is sleep all the time. Talking about MacGyver was filmed in Canada. Notice the trees in train. I mean, they didn't kill everything. It's like 5% or something, but it's I don't know who manages Canada's forests or what. I mean, it's not like Canada is barren. They manage their forest. I mean, they use the shit out of their forest. They know what they're doing. They grow new trees and stuff. I think they might be like several generations in some of their forests. They know what they're doing. But I think the places that they have forests are just places they couldn't get to. I don't think it's because a lot of people... Well, I know... Actually, I should shut up. I don't really care. But let's see. Yep. They're just going to go after any little angle. And then once they get an angle, a division, then they've got 2 angles. And they get a division, actually 4 angles. And they do a division and they've got 8 angles. So it becomes exponential. And they've definitely got enough people because they've got essentially an unlimited amount of money to spend. And once they have a successful campaign, they just have to double down on it. And it essentially divides us. But I don't want to give them too much... let's see. So now we have, that was a bunch of Minnesota stuff, and Minnesota stuff is happening by, the Minnesota gun owners group up there. And that's it. That's all we have. One state level organization in Minnesota. It's not the case in every state, but it seems like a lot of states we get one option. New Hampshire, I believe the way they pronounce it. House Bill 1186 approved by the Criminal Justice Public Safety Committee. Oh, isn't it nice of me to not add any kind of detail on that one? So I honestly don't remember that one anymore. I must have thought I was going to remember it, but I don't remember that one. So something happened in New Hampshire, and it's kind of like a choose your own adventure. You have to go figure out what it is. I'm just writing it down here. I'm not necessarily giving you a cheat sheet. New Mexico's governor's a jerk. So she didn't get what she wanted in their normal session. So she's now threatening a special session just for gun control. So this is called 1, a red herring, 2, a test run, 3, what do they call it? Like a sacrificial, or is it 4, the canary in the coal mine? Is she a probe? Is she a strategy by the antis to go do whatever you can, say anything outrageous, do as much as you can? We need to see where the limit is. Go probe and see where the edge is. Where can they take no more? And in a state like New Mexico, where do they lose? They lose nothing. There's not enough people in New Mexico to get enough gun owners in New Mexico to be able to thwart her, obviously. So, they're exercising a real muscle here. She seems to me like the Beto. I'm going to take all your guns, or whatever he was saying about AR-15s. That was a massive test. Let's see how much we can say, how much, to get our testers on this and see what the responses are to what she's doing over here. Or is it just a massive distraction? Hey, look at her. Look at how she's doing. Like, can you imagine? And where's this money going? And where should have that money gone? And who's, all the other political issues that are happening? This is a distraction from, or is she just that canary? Is she just out there supposedly doing stuff, but really they're using her as a barometer, as a measure to see, when have we done too much? So I don't know. This is, you can get scared of that, or you can get freaking pissed. How are we helping New Mexico? I've got friends in New Mexico. I mean, I go over there all the time. I'm not that far from them, but when are we going to realize that we have the influence? We can be making phone calls and joining organizations. There's the New Mexico Rifle and Pistol Association, again, a state that has one organization for it. And here's what'll happen. Here's a little spoiler alert. When a state gets wailed on, more than one organization will happen. When a success happens, all the organizations will claim victory, right? And then some of the organizations will live through that and they'll squabble. Whoa, spoiler alert, that'll happen. How do I know? Because it happens in every fucking state. So, be prepared if that happens. There's going to be a lot of bickering and a lot of side taking. People with money, the exploiters, are going to jump in. That's how do I know people are exploiters? Because they're going to jump in here and watch some of the loudest people and see if they've ever done this before when they jumped up here and do this. All right. In Iowa, it was this. Oh, wait, you're talking about something else. Is that what it was in Iowa? Thanks. The bill prohibits the assigning of a specific merchant code. So, yeah, thank you. So the Iowa one wasn't the thing about the companies that are 2A or not. That's a different state. Or maybe it was a different bill. I don't remember what state it was in. But this one is specifically, thanks to Aldo, this one is the one that prohibits assigning a code to gun shops. Again, is that like sky is falling, or does that matter? It's Overton window. They're trying to demonize gun owners. They're trying to suggest that gun ownership is a vice, that guns are dangerous and they're a vice and there's no good reason for them. They say that all the fucking time. So they need to suggest that as often as possible, and they need every validation they can get. So if they can say that even credit card companies need to segregate the blah, 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 even credit card companies are so concerned. So they need these little nibbles. Plus it exercises their muscles. There's no loss for them. They can say, we tried to get credit card companies to care about just one life, and the NRA wouldn't let them. And they win. So they're going to win if they lose, and they're going to win if they win. So why the fuck are we letting them win? Come on, man. So yeah, that's frustrating. But thanks for the clarity on that one. Let's see. So after that, we get to Pennsylvania. We were talking about barbecue earlier. Pennsylvania decided 4-3 that Pennsylvania's ban on the possession, use, and transfer of homemade guns. Again, it's a loss. If somebody wanted to say that in the poll over here that everyone is free to participate in, was it a great week, a good week, an okay week, or a bad week? We just had Pennsylvania say that ghost guns are so scary that 4 to 3, nobody can have them. Oh, well, I guess in Philadelphia. But is that for the whole state? I don't know the consequences. Somebody from Pennsylvania will have to say. But, is that great week worthy? Is it? You know what I'm saying? Next is Ninth Circuit votes not to hear the appeal to restrict gun advertisements. So California is a master of distracting from all the other bullshit that happens in California that made people flee the state and got them all in, screwed up their economy and everything else. So, hey, let's poke at the gun issue because we're going to require the gun people in California have to react. And then everybody else in the country can be focused on this instead of the other things that are going on in California. So, I'm definitely guilty of not giving a shit what goes on politically anywhere. And then California is counted in anywhere. So I have no idea what's going on in California other than gun stuff. But this little back and forth, it's not a ping pong game with California and their dumbass Ninth Circuit bullshit. It's like a ping pong game where there's 3 people on one side and one guy on the other side, and there's 7 ping pong balls going back and forth, and we're trying to keep track of which ping pong ball is in which game, and which one's in bounds and which one's not, and which one's which, and it's a pain in the ass. So California's succeeding in making it frustrating as shit, right? So how do we win that? I don't know. I think that we can win that by getting beyond trying to think of this as a ping pong game, right? Maybe start thinking of it as a video game. Let the video game kids that are always getting talked about, let them win. They should be able to play long-term games, sandbox games. Is that what it's called? If the 2A is a sandbox game, why don't we have gamers winning this thing? Why aren't Reddit kids making up a logarithm to win this thing, or some kind of blockchain to win this thing already? Anyhow, we'll keep moving. So Ninth Circuit Court. Guess what? We almost hear about them weekly at this point because they're interested in taking the headlines all the time. I'm getting this all from the NSSF newsletter. They have a poll over there that says that Americans are overwhelmingly in support of the board of saying Bruin. So I'll say the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association because 1, I'm not lazy, and 2, fuck Bruin. He's the loser. That's the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association decision, which we should be proud of saying and including it in all of our stuff because it's the word Rifle and Pistol Association. But you know why people don't want to talk about it? Because the NRA supports them. And the NRA can't do anything right. The narrative has to be that the NRA is wrong all the time. But whatever. It says polls show Americans overwhelmingly support the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin decision results. I don't know if it matters because this poll is probably some Republican poll, but I guess we're supposed to take anything we can when we're given something that's positive. So in an election year, hopefully that's a good indication. Again, I have no idea if that poll was taken well. If I'm going to be skeptical of the polls from the other side, why the hell should we be unskeptical of the polls on our side, right? So it's just my nature. I'm going to be skeptical of the poll on our side. And then it's all over this week. Finland is building new gun ranges, marksmanship ranges, they call them there. So in Europe, you can't just say gun range or shooting range. You have to say marksmanship range. That's the metric way of saying it. I'll bet you they're going to shoot a lot of 9mm over there. But there'll be a couple of videos we'll talk about here where they'll talk about that stuff. So we're 44 minutes into the show and barely getting started on the videos. So I'm going to throw out here again that we have a scroll going to the bottom of the screen here. You can see it right over here. It says the most thumbed up super chat tonight wins cool stuff. The cool stuff is these patches over here. And thanks to the people that want to pitch in on that. So Ron Wayne is winning and he's the only entrant. So if somebody throws in $1 super chat and says something clever, boom, steals it away from Ron Wayne, steals all those thumbs away from him. He's only got 8 thumbs and we've got 900 people watching tonight. So if only 10%, if only 90 of the people watching tonight were to donate $1,000, we'd have $90,000, and that would get us to our goal for the month. So be part of it, and I guess we'll dig in and keep going. Again, thanks to NSSF for posting most of that stuff in their week newsletter. Comes out like at afternoon on Fridays. You can check it out. Subscribe to it if you want. All right, so I mentioned what we're going to be talking about tonight. The first thing we talk about is two-way stuff. And usually I put everything in the order of how awesome it is. And the most important thing that happens each week, because it happens consistently and because it's the most important aspect of what we're dealing with today in 2024, is Brooke Cheney's Suicide Prevention Saturday Project. Consistent effort to focus on mental health awareness and, of course, suicide prevention. So since the anti-people who are against our rights and our property insist on using the number of people killed with guns, they have to stand on the deaths of suicides. So by preventing suicides, not only do we prevent people from committing suicide, and it is possible, it's not always possible, but it is possible, but it's also greatly more productive than just complaining that they complain and getting in the back and forth. This is actually a way to actually do something. And it's something you can actually do. And that's be more comfortable talking about this and talk about this shit. So we can ignore it all we want, but once we understand and once it's common knowledge to those 80% of people in the middle that the antis are standing on the graves of suicides and then suggesting that gun owners are the problem here, it's going to be repulsive for them to keep messaging that way. So this is probably the most impressive thing I've seen since 2015, because most of the things since 2015 that had potential have stagnated to some extent, while Brooke consistently puts this out. So there's people out there that are massively successful, and then a lot of people sit back in their audience chairs and go, wow, we have a new person to watch. We have a new thing to be audiences of. And then there's people that are individuals doing stuff legit, like authentically every single week. And that's the kind of person that motivates other people to go, you know what, I can do something also. I can participate as well. I can support her. I can support this. I can support that. That's actually getting things done. Ultimately more impressive than all the other bullshit that happens. People doing things on massively bigger scales that have no results. Anyway, next thing is from Michael Cargill out of Texas, runs a gun shop out there. For a long time had a radio show and a podcast. Now he's putting effort into taking one of his court cases to the Supreme Court. Let's listen to this video. Let me know if you can hear it.
Have you ever asked yourself, how come media outlets don't report suicides? So I asked them, they said, if we did, more people would commit suicide. So I said, hey, why do you report shootings or mass shootings?
That's awesome on 7 different levels, so we're going to play it again.
Have you ever asked yourself, how come media outlets don't report suicides? So I asked them, they said, if we did, more people would commit suicide. So I said, hey, why do you report shootings or mass shootings?
Michael's awesome. And that's how effective a short can be. That's a YouTube short, 12 seconds long. Is it going to tell us? Does it even tell us how many views that's got? But look how effective that can be. And what if we had that messaging consistently out there? Would media just be able to take that black eye? Wow, look how slow my internet is. You're witnessing how slow my internet is.
Have you ever asked yourself, how come media outlets don't report suicides? So I asked them,
108,000 subscribers. That's epic. That's awesome. 7,000 views in 4 days. I'm going to throw the link out there so people can send this one around. Hopefully you share this one, though, and then move this one around, because it's literally the most on-point message that I've seen in a long time. All right, let's move down. And considering this a dude who's taken the ATF to the Supreme Court, even better. Armed Citizens Legal Defense Network is an alternative to what the things out there that call themselves insurance. It's also an alternative to prepaid legal. So it's a fund, and one of the things they do that differentiates them from other entities that claim to be health or self-defense insurance is the Armed Citizens Legal Defense Network uses up training and skill building as a core of their project, so that if you're ever in a court and you need to discuss why or how you did something, the expert witness or the person who's working with your attorney can use the presentations from Armed Citizens Legal Defense Network in court to bring your jury, your peers, to at least some level of awareness of why you acted the way you did, if it might seem to the just an untrained observer that it was an ultimately or a too fast of motion or too quick a decision made. Whatever the aspect of your situation is, the Armed Citizens Legal Defense Network uses their education, which is documented and presented in ways that can be used in court. And since they're the first thing that existed in this whole aspect of legal protection for concealed carry people, theirs has been unique. And anyway, this is an aspect of it, is they've been doing these live shows now. Not every state can have every service, so I'm not selling them. I'm a member, but I'm not. I've always been a member, really, but I've been a member for a long, long time. But I don't get paid by them or nothing. They don't even have like an affiliate thing. They're just offering an alternative to the $30 a month type of thing. So if you want to listen to 3 hours of a presentation from Rick Ector at a church in Michigan, this is epic. So Rick's been doing Second Amendment advocacy longer than me, and online, I'm probably going to just say longer than me, because I might have technically been on the internet at the same time as him, but he was certainly doing gun-related stuff with a purpose way longer than me. I was dabbling with gun stuff for years, watching people like Rick Ector, and being inspired, like, oh shit, I could do something more useful with my time on the internet instead of just playing here. And this was back in like early 2000s. I'm seeing Rick doing his thing with Legally Armed in Detroit, and Reverend Ken Blanchard doing his thing, Black Man with a Gun. And they were both online, and I was playing around online thinking I was so good. And I was like playing, and I was like, oh, okay, there's something that can be done here. These are two of the guys that got me to focus and actually think about doing something with the direction instead of just doing stuff online. So his familiarity and his approach is epic. And if you watch things that Rick does, he's not the same all the time. He's Rick. He's always Rick, but he's able to deliver the information appropriately to the different audiences. He's an expert. It's really fun to watch. So it's a vertical video, and it's 3 hours long. But seriously, if you're going on a road trip or something, or if you're just looking for something that's inspirational to listen to, it's a lot of stories and things. But it's, as you can imagine, it's Rick talking gun control laws in Michigan to a church congregation I think recently. So I don't remember the date on it, but it was pretty good. I didn't listen to the whole thing. I listened to a good chunk of the beginning of it, though. And then we have Unapologetically Armed, frustrated with the situation with what's happening in Missouri. So because of what happened with the sports, which we should ban sports. So here's the logic. Something happens and they use a gun, we should ban guns. Well, here's my logic. If something is creating a situation that causes one death, then we should just make the thing illegal, the situation that caused the death. Sure, they may have used a gun, but they would have never even been there if it wasn't for the thing that brought them there, and that's sports. So ban sports. It's easy. Don't you care about children? Ban sports. Anyway, that's not really her message, but I'm throwing that out there. So Unapologetically Arms, though, is frustrated because one of her things that she's interested in accomplishing in Missouri is to remove the ban on carrying on public transportation, because there's a lot of people that carry or that have to use public transportation and are interested in having security, personal security, and since they can't carry on the trains and buses, I guess they have to make a decision. Am I going to carry illegally and risk the consequences of that, or not carry? And you can't necessarily blink a gun. If you're going somewhere and you need the gun there, and they say you can't get on the bus with it, it doesn't, you just don't automatically have Uber fare or whatever. So I can see that being a frustration for people. And because of what happened with violence, because of sports, the sports-induced violence, the Missouri legislature said it wouldn't be proper to talk about this right now. So somehow the safety of people on public transportation isn't vital when sports-induced violence happens. Let's see. Saw him on Meet the Pressers. Great guy. Uh-oh, what are we talking about? Are we talking about Rick Ector? Rick Ector was on Meet the Pressers? Oh, I bet you he was. That's right. When they were out there for his thing. That's true. So we're going to ban buses and fuel and tires and seats. I mean, people were shot on public transit. Exactly. Well, no, we need the buses. So maybe everybody, it's like a bathroom stall. You go in and you sit in a glass box, a little glass cubicle. Okay, so then we get to, so we went from Michigan. Let's see, where do we start with here? Let's go around the place. Connecticut, Texas, Washington State, and what's the deal, Woods? You can't even have this in Washington State now, but Michigan, Missouri, and now we're in Indiana. Forge of Freedom, one of my favorite podcasts to listen to. Always interesting and taking it in different directions. Episode 102. This is a quiz that went out that was, I forget the paper or the publication, but it was test your knowledge of gun laws. And I seen it somewhere else. And then a couple of days later, Alex kind of went over it in this podcast. So it's interesting to listen to. Super biased poll. There was this gun poll by some, wasn't Vice? I don't know. Some paper you've heard of before, but I'm thinking it's left leaning, anti-gun for sure. And all the questions were essentially thought provoking or whatever, set to or intended to get people all riled up about probably whatever the impending ghost gun bullshit, or what is that thing called? The Undetectable Firearms Act, the plastic gun federal, I don't know what to call it. It's a federal law, but it doesn't really ban anything. It just makes them put a piece of metal in the plastic guns. But anyway, so he goes into that poll and goes through all the questions and kind of gets into it. I don't know if you listen to Tactical Response. I think they just call it James Yeager now, but it's Tactical Response Channel. And they had an interview with Boomstick Babe from Colorado. Interesting interview. And if you listen to it, listen to the whole thing. I'm going to see if I can't get Boomstick to come on and do a chat with us on a Monday show. What's happening in Colorado right now? I think, oh man, I forgot the issue. We didn't have it in the list. I forgot the issue, what's happening in Colorado, because I'm talking live. Here's the Gun Owners of America thing about Finland, which is actually an ad for their event that's coming up. Now we have the best state level gun owners' rights organization is Virginia Citizens Defense League. Let's just take a second or two to watch the beginning of their podcast.
Today, will stop at nothing to see you defenseless. That is their final goal. But we at the VCDL, like we always do, will be there too. Lobby Day 2024 is January 15th, and we need you to help us turn back the tide of anti-rights legislation in Richmond. Join us to lobby your representatives and help us say no to these extremist bills that would do nothing to prevent real crime, but that would leave you and your family defenseless against criminals. Go to VC.
So I don't know who's producing their stuff, but I mean that's one of the best things I've seen. I mean, I don't know. There's probably other things out there, but anyway, I thought that was pretty good. And then this is a blog article from NSSF, and they're suggesting that Black History Month should celebrate Black gun ownership. And this is the president of NSSF posting this one. I hope it's just part one. He talks about gun control history briefly here. And then he has Philip Smith, Michael Cargill, right? Geneva Solomon, probably saying that wrong. Maj from Black Guns Matter. Michael from Guns Out TV. Colion Noir. ... So hopefully this is part one, but it's interesting, and I haven't seen anybody else ever talk about this, so that's good. It could have easily started back with Harriet Tubman, one of I consider the first Second Amendment activists in the country, one of the first, but whatever, they started someplace. Hopefully it'll be part one, but that's a cool thing. And again, if somebody's looking for topics or whatever, Black gun ownership is, of course, it's cool now to talk about how gun control is racist. Everybody should have known that for a long time. But who do you think fought most about gun control? People that are getting hit by gun control, or people that had no skin in the game? So there's a shit ton of Second Amendment activists all over the place. All right, so next we're going to get into the gun side of it. So we're an hour in. At this point, Wayne's just counting his patches, because everybody else, even though you act like you're capitalists, Ron is counting his patches. There's nobody else super chatting. So there's a scroll going at the bottom of the screen. Most thumbed up super chat tonight is going to win cool stuff. And the topic tonight is ice cream flavors. So either Ron's going to walk home with all them patches, which is fine. Or we're going to see some other super chats come in here, and we can have a whole nother layer of interactivity with the chat tonight. All the people joining in and thumbing up, having some kind of a thumb up war with all the super chats. Or don't, we got technology that we can use, or we don't have to. We'll get into the gun side of it here. She Fires does a show every Sunday afternoon, or most every Sunday afternoon. Great one this week, or last weekend, I guess. De-escalation strategies. There's a whole He's exhausted. He barely has the energy to make those noises, but he makes them. There's a whole thing about like verbal judo. Woods, if he's still awake, he might remember those days. I don't know if anybody else is out there live tonight who can remember the days of getting into the alternative strategies for not just de-escalation in a conflict, but how to use the de-escalation concepts for conversations with anti-rights bigots, people who hate guns so much that they are just blindly interested in seeing the state have the monopoly on force. So anyway, these de-escalation tips were awesome. I haven't seen anybody do anything other than maybe allude to it in some other, like in a conversation about something else. So having a whole chat focused on it was super cool. I was looking forward to that one, and it paid off. It was a good one. Then we have Sisters in Arms, which are Renee and Carrie Ann, Connecticut and Rhode Island, who do a show. It's essentially a cable TV show, and they're on episode number 30. They got into their range bags. I've been going to the range since I can remember being a little kid. Like, I literally don't remember not going to the range on weekends. And I did that my whole entire life until, I went in, I started doing stuff on my own when I could drive, I guess, when I'm 16. And then what do you think I did when I was 16? I drove to the range half the damn time. So I've been going to the range literally my whole life, and I've had a range bag the entire time. I don't think we've ever not had, range bags, literally. And then living out here, what do you think I got? Tons of range bags. Then I started doing YouTube and the websites and stuff, and I got a ton of more range bags. So I've had a zillion range bags myself, and then all the stuff that's in them. And then over the years with the forums, and over the years with the YouTube stuff, and then the feedback from the comments on YouTube, and then once we got into the live stuff on YouTube back in 2010, and then all the years of live streaming and the conversations and the everybody getting to know each other, and the live conversations being new, and then them getting to be kind of common, and then kind of getting old, and then all the old people leaving, and then whole new people coming along to host the shows and be part of the thing. Over and over, I've had that happen like 4 times. All the times I've listened to people have conversations about what's in the range bag, I'd rather watch Renee and Carrie Ann talk about their range bag. They're truly interested in what's going on in their range bag. They're truly just talking to people who may or may not have ever thought about this stuff before. Super fun, and they're not weird about it. So much, very interesting. So if, assuming you know what goes in a range bag, but you're just interested in listening to people who are truly enthusiastic about their stuff and going through it and sharing that, super cool video. Worth sharing around too. Not everybody wants to hear what some cop has in their range bag. Not everybody wants to hear what some soldier has in their range bag. Not everybody wants to hear what some competition shooter has in their range bag. And almost nobody wants to hear what, grandpa somebody or uncle somebody has in their range bag. Maybe to our people like that stuff. But I think a lot of people are going to be, especially new shooters and stuff, are going to be down with hearing 2 enthusiastic, not new shooters, they've been shooting a long time, but they're moms, essentially people that are able to communicate to people that are new in a super non-demeaning or non-technical way. Super good. All right, so then this one was interesting. Every once in a while I'm watching Crump, and sometimes Crump is live. I think this one was a premiere, so it was kind of live, but I got in there at the very end, kind of just to say, hey, seeing the thing live or whatever. But then Clover was saying stuff, and they went, and they kind of had a thing. So I don't know if anybody's seen this one or whatever. I think I missed it though. So anyway, there's a little bit of drama in that one. Speaking of drama, you know what happens on Wednesday nights? You would if you stayed up late, because look, at this show starts at midnight. To some people, this show starts even later. This is an overnight show called the Wednesday Night Mouse Party, hosted by DM Foss. And it's a non-topic, unscripted get-together for people that are night shift. So, kind of focused around guns a little bit, tethered a little bit, because we all have that similar interest. But, there's all kinds of topics, and we have a lot of fun on that show. So if you're up for being in the middle of the night like this, then on Wednesdays, check this out. Now, every other week, he also hosts a show on Saturday nights, overnights, called the Overnight. This week is, I think, the off night, however, so I think we're out of luck this week. But you can listen to Hillbilly. Hillbilly Up has his show just after Brooke's show on Saturday, so you can check that out on Sunday evening. Friday afternoons, evenings, depending on where you're at, AR Guns, or whatever he calls himself, AR Patriot 1776 now, is hosts a live conversation. He does this before the reloaders start doing their thing. And it's always fun to see people. Well, I always like to see the conversation happen live, because I'm not interested in watching the drones of people that flock to the prepared presentations and then, say whatever they're going to say, they're supposed to say in the comments, and then watch the people bicker. That's never been fun, honestly. So I don't have to do that anymore. I don't want to do that. I don't get paid to do that. So it's no fun for me. What I do like is seeing people participate in the live conversations and chat with each other and keep up. And it's like being at a restaurant or a bar. It's not really a bar because nobody's getting drunk and fighting. I don't know. It's like being at a club, or it's like being at a gun range, maybe like being at a gun shop that's friendly. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe these guys are all like it's like they open up a little gun shop or something, and nobody has to buy nothing, but people show up and just hang out. And, if you show up on Wednesday, so-and-so is going to be there. So you show up on Wednesday. So people like AR Patriot who are hosting these conversations keep, the real blood of what's going on online flowing. Like Gizzard has a show for every Friday or whatever. What are you going to do till Friday? Gizzard's on. Well, AR Patriot show. And you know how it's real? Because nobody's real. Like, it's real. Boom. There's no way he's some kind of paid shill. There's no way he's a fed. You know what I mean? It's real. So you can go watch crap that's prepared, and it's probably designed to sell you a fucking something. Or you can go watch people that are real, hanging out and being real. Or maybe not. You have to maybe nothing you don't want to. So then we got federal super carry. This was at NRAM from 2022, but it's what I seen. And this dude, oh my goodness, is that copywriting me? This guy, Chris, is going to be on with us on Monday. So I'm a big fan of ammo, and I like the development of the gun community and our industry, I guess. And I'm interested. I don't like 9mm. I hate it, actually. So 30 Super Carry, guess what it is? It's a new caliber made in the United States, and it's United States caliber, and it's better than 9mm probably. So we're going to talk to Chris about that. This is some video that was on by guns.com with, from 2022. So you can go get a prep or whatever, take a look at it, prepare for the show. I have a bunch of questions that have already come in that are listed in the description of the video. It'll be in the midday on Monday, a little earlier than we normally do to work with Chris's schedule. But there's some questions in there. If you have other questions, though, feel free to let me know, and we can add them. It's not a gotcha interview or nothing, but hopefully we'll have more interesting questions than, why is it different than 9mm, or why is 9mm a fad and everybody hates it, and why should I sell all my 9mm? The normal questions that people ask. Let's see, we'll get into Dragon Man next. So one of the things that's awesome is we live in 2024 and we have Dragon Man. At one point, people were like, you know what? It's 1980, whatever it is, and Dragon Man hasn't become Dragon Man yet, so life sucks. And again, at some point in the future, maybe 2100 or something, in 2100, people are going to probably be like, Dragon Man's a robot now, and he's not the same as when he was running around in a human body. So we live in 2024, where Dragon Man is still a human, and he's running around doing stuff like this.
How you doing, guys? Dragon Man here. I'm in my machine shop, and the jobs are coming in left and right, and I'm trying to get them done as fast as possible. This is my mail order business here, and if you're going to send your heads and barrels in, just pack them real good. See this fella right here? This is the way he sent his heads. See that? So they don't break any fins. That's why I tell people.
Jump ahead a little bit.
The valves and the guides, 2-angle valve job. With the cases, we replaced the races and the bearings.
I swear to crap, if I get $1 million somehow, I'm going to buy a shitty Harley, and I'm going to drive it up to Dragon Man's and be like, can I just hang out while you fix my Harley? Because, I don't know, if you got a Harley and you ain't having Dragon Man fix it, like, do you really even have a Harley? Charlie, Brian Shotgun with Charlie does his show, I think, weekly. Or is it every other week? I think it might be every other week now. Probably depends on how many interviews he's got in the stack. But he interviews the guy from concealedcarry.com. Interesting conversation if you want to see an insight to the industry a little bit. And then there's the NRA, or what is this? Not the NRA annual convention. This one is the GOA Gun Owner Advocacy Leadership Summit. So first we're going to play with some polls over here. So people that are still here, we're going to quickly look at the poll, and here's the result. 45% great week for 2A, 27% good week for 2A, 18% okay week for 2A, and 9% bad week for 2A. People in Massachusetts, people in Pennsylvania, people in Minnesota are weeping because nobody's paying attention to what's happening in those states, and we're saying, I don't know what we're saying is so great. Well, in that, though, you're allowed to say it's great. I mean, but just justify it. Say something down there. Why are you saying it's so great? But now we'll start another poll, and it's going to be called the egg poll because I'm curious what y'all think. So, would you eat them eggs? Right? So, again, here I'll try to talk and type at the same time. But essentially, here's the scenario. There's these eggs. So, yes, eat them. They are good. Or, well, give them to the dogs. Or, throw them away. Or, wing them at something. All right, so I got these eggs, put them on the dashboard so that they wouldn't get all busted because somebody runs all around all the time, and he's always stepping on things like eggs. So I put them on the dashboard. I'm not saying it's his fault. I'm just saying I had to put them on the dashboard because of him. So put them on the dashboard. Came home, probably because of him, I got all flustered, and I forgot about them eggs. I go out there later on today, the next day, a day later, and I find them eggs laying out on the dashboard. They've been out there, and it was 70 degrees today, and they've been out on the dashboard. Would you eat them eggs? So we're putting that out there as a poll. Right now, 100% are throw them away, and 50% is now throw them away, and then 50% is wing them at something. So we're going to be interested in the poll. I'm not saying I'm going to do whatever the poll says, but I'm interested to see what people say about it. Should we do a poll about this Gun Owners of America thing, the summit? What do you think of this summit? Oh, you want to hear? Did everybody hear about the summit? Let's just play this. I'll get copyrighted probably.
Hey everyone, Eric Pratt here with Gun Owners of America, and I'm excited to finally announce the first GOA convention goals. The Gun Ownership Advocacy and Leadership Summit will be August 17th through 18th in Knoxville, Tennessee at the Knoxville Convention Center. This first of its kind event is a celebration of you, our members, as you'll be able to strengthen your bond with the companies you love. There will be acres of booths filled with new products. Meet your favorite content creators, listen in on panels, and join Q&A sessions discussing the fight for your rights. Goals is about joining together as a community and fighting for the Second Amendment. And of course, it's free for GOA members. So, more details are to come. We're looking forward to seeing you there.
I don't know. So we're in a three-way heat now between eat them, they're good, throw them away, or wing them at something. So we'll see. Yeah, I probably should have said we'll count throw them away as shoot at them. I just don't know if I want to drag them all the way out there. One, I can use the shells in the garden, so I'd rather just give them to the dogs and put the shells in the garden because I'm cheap, because I paid for them, right? Or I could take them out there and wing them at something in the desert or whatever. I'm sure something would eat them, and nobody cares about eggshells in the desert, really. I could shoot at them. We got guns to shoot at them with, I guess, and we are going shooting again. But I just don't know if I want to drag eggs all the way out there because it's out in the middle of nowhere, and it'll be all bouncy, and I don't have like a fancy luxury vehicle with them shocks or whatever they're called. So I don't know how I would get eggs out in the middle of nowhere, and they'd still be eggs and not garbage, mess. But I'm not paying to go to the range, but you couldn't take them to the range anyway. Oh, 1 hour if above 90. See, I figure it was 70 degrees today in Arizona, and they were in the be, on the dashboard underneath of the windshield with the thing. What do you call that thing? The windshield sun visor thing. DJ's saying there's some kind of test, a float test. That's to test if they're cooked or not. So then the other question is, are they good for the dogs? Because dogs can handle anything, right? They already ate one, but he did pee. Yes, or he ate it. I think it's unrelated, but he did immediately pee after eating the egg. But I think it's just because he's not used to eating a whole giant egg. I cracked the egg. He didn't eat the egg whole, for anybody that's concerned. He ate just the insides of the egg. All right, so we're getting into some tech here. Super pissed about radio stuff. Radio is a big scam, first off. You turn on a radio, and guess what? Who can tell where you are at? And everybody, like anybody who wants to, can know where you are at as soon as you turn on your radio. So radio in SHTF is DUMB. Listen to radios all you want. That's called a scanner. But as soon as you start talking on a radio, you might as well just get a loudspeaker and a big strobe light and go, here's where I am. So radios are a giant scam. They want to sell them to you because you can buy them for $30 and they can sell them to you for $50, or they could probably buy them for $15 at this point, sell them to you for $35, make a fortune, laugh all the way to the bank because you're going to buy another one next week. Radios are a massive scam. Nobody will tell you that. But here's an alternative. Oh, I want to be able to talk to people. Who doesn't want to be able to talk to people? So you can get essentially the same carriers that are using radio remote controls and or the same frequencies that are doing remote controls, very low end stuff. The garage door openers, little stuff around the house type of things. You can use those frequencies, which are impossible to detect. You turn on a radio and you're the only thing on that band with a big ass beacon sending out 5 watts. So you're essentially going, again, with a big strobe light and a big loudspeaker. Here I am. You're the only person in the neighborhood. Everything's quiet and you're yelling, here I am. But you could whisper over here and with 100 other people whispering, and nobody would be able to sniff that even if they tried to sniff it, because they'd be getting every single, remote control this or remote controlled doorknob or whatever, or door lock. So anyway, you get this Meshtastic, and there's a whole bunch of resources for you here where you can check it out. But you can essentially get a smartwatch that runs Meshtastic. You get a couple of little bops and bips, and you now have a ruggedized, hard to defeat, impossible to detect communication system that's way more robust than a dumbass radio from the olden days. You know who invented the radio? Or at least a big chunk of it? The guy who invented the suppressor in like 1911 or whatever it was, 1906 or something. Radios are old-fashioned, and they're just a scam. So go check out Meshtastic. I made a separate, what's that thing called? Substack for it. And kind of a little, check it out. You can check out these videos. They're all a little bit different style. You got to be careful because they're all radio people and they're all kind of nerdy, but you'll get the gist of it. And if you're at all concerned about being able to talk to your neighbors, your nearby family, somebody who might be at work and they're not that far away, or even if they are kind of far away, it's a very economical way to make your own, untied to any infrastructure, way to use your smartphones, and a couple of dollars, maybe even less than $100 worth of tech. That's very hardened tech that's untraceable. So you can make your own communication systems, and you don't have to rely on some dumbass repeaters or some kind of dumbass radio thing and blah, blah, blah. That essentially is just somebody ripping you off. So go check it out if you want, or the lecture's over. You don't have to listen to any of this if you want. I just get sick of listening to people. And you're going to hear about gas masks, and you're going to hear about everything else because there's the people that like to sell you this stuff. All right. Again, Spiritus Systems posted this thing about low-tech signaling. Really cool. I didn't remember to do it, so I'm going to pop it into its own window. If you've never thought about it before, there's all kinds of ways from SOS
when you
to...
have these woke revolutions, it
what's it
requires
called?
all of us at some point.
How do you get that to shut up? From Morse code to semaphore, right? All these different signaling techniques. If you were in Scouts or depending on your MOS, this is stuff that you just learned at some point, and you don't have to memorize it. The point isn't to memorize it. The point is to be aware of it and to be familiar with it, but to understand that you can default to it. But there's all kinds of tapping codes and things. So this is an Army manual that they link to. That Army manuals are written at 6th grade level, so pretty much they can be understood by hopefully everybody. But everything from the hand signals to, in this case, beyond the semaphore and stuff, you get these panels. So essentially a orange fabric, blaze orange panel that's used for indicating to helicopters, what to do or what's going on in the ground. So some of that kind of stuff. And then there's ways you can fold the panel, and you can take this information. And again, if you're trying to come up with systems to be able to communicate with your people, whatever your people are, right, then understand these things. And seriously, the government spends a bunch of money to teach insurgents how to do stuff, or teach people who are trying to defend their homeland or something how to do stuff. We're allowed to look at that. You're allowed to look at those manuals and learn from them. It's actually, like I say, 6th grade level usually, or less. We're going to jump over to guncalendars.com and take a look at what's happening over there. One of the things that our Patreons and the people that do super chats, like Ron Wayne did earlier, and you're welcome to be part of this too. Like I mentioned, we have a bunch of servers, and that is for these websites. Wow, there's been a lot of comments. It took me forever to go find the super chat again. But we are having a battle of the super chats tonight. Ron Wayne is winning because nobody else is even playing. But that kind of, all that piles of cash that comes in goes to pay for the servers, and those servers run websites like these. So what is today? The 23rd. There we go. We've got Blade Show Texas starting this week, or it's starting today, this weekend. For everybody that doesn't remember, it's 223 Day. So it's February 23rd, 223. That's 223 Day. This is the beginning of the beginning of Santa Anna's siege on the Alamo in 1836. Santa Anna brought 3,000 troops from Mexico to the Alamo. So that happened for a little while, and we'll have the other anniversary, unfortunately, at the other end of that. This is also the anniversary of the Marines raising the flag at Iwo Jima in 1945. So hopefully there were people out there commemorating that, if they're, of that ilk. Tomorrow is going to be the anniversary of the adaptation of the Barrett M82 50 cal rifle as the state rifle of Tennessee. They were the 9th state to adopt a state rifle. There's only 10 states with a state rifle at this point. We have an anniversary of somebody passing away there, Frank Fiamongo, who is the head of the New Jersey Second Amendment Society, or at least the founder of the New Jersey Second Amendment Society. It's his birthday on Sunday. It's the anniversary of Colt's first revolver in 1836. So he patented the first revolver, and that was what do you call that thing? A black powder. Smith & Wesson did the first bored-through cylinder revolvers, but Colt was the first revolver of its type, and his first patent was 1836. Gatling, Richard Gatling. Let's see, Richard Gatling. What am I thinking? I'm thinking of the other guy. So Gatling, his anniversary of his passing in 1903. Then you've got the anniversary, I guess, of Browning demonstrating the Browning automatic rifle to the Army in 1917. We have the anniversary of the the Brady Handgun Prevention Act, which was from 1994, which would eventually get removed and replaced with NICS. We have a couple other anniversaries of people passing or being born. And we also have the anniversary of the siege in Waco starting. So that happened from February through April. So that's a long time, but it starts at the end of February and then runs through April. So there's going to be a number of people who are going to, bring that up as it's, on the anniversary dates, I suppose. In Ohio, people that are in Ohio get the treat, the ability to go to a cartridge show, ammunition show for ammunition collectors next weekend. Let's see, it's Women's History Month. Wait, that's March. So as soon as March starts, that's Women's History Month, I guess. And yeah, I guess that's still next week. We got the anniversary of Yellowstone becoming our first national park back in 1872. Kind of talked about the concept of the United States. We have forests, we have parks, we have other things. We have BLM. So we have different levels of parks also. So we have national wildlife refuges. We have like tons of public land. And here in Arizona, since I think we might be the state with the least amount of private land, or at least we're in the running up there. But as you're driving around or walking around, even going hunting or something, or even walking to go fishing, you're going to walk through potentially 2 or 3 jurisdictions or like types of public land. So there's a lot to keep track of sometimes. And let's not forget that next weekend, San Diego Gun Owners has their Gun Owner Symposium. So I'm going to say, in stark contrast to a popularity contest, we got a state level, kind of city level, hard to say, like regional level gun owners' rights group that it's hard to say who's doing better work or more work. Virginia Citizens Defense League, GOAL, Gun Owners Action League in Massachusetts, or San Diego Gun Owners. But they're all in the running, and they should only be those. I don't know, maybe there's another state if I thought about it, but those are the 3 states that are doing the most effective work at resisting and creating awareness for Second Amendment related stuff, like truly doing it without a bunch of bullshit other motives. So they're doing a gun show. What? An actual gun show where people are going to actually show up and sell guns, and it's an actual gun show, and there's vendors, and it isn't like some industry thing, and it isn't like a meet and greet. It's just a gun show. But then along with the gun show, they're going to have a symposium, like all kinds of classes and different things, and they're going to show the movie Red Dawn, the real one. Holy shit. So that's next Saturday, and it's not their first time doing it, but I think it's the first time at this size venue. So they kind of upscaled the venue, and it might be the first time back at that venue for a gun show after victory with fighting with, California anti-rights people or anti-rights politicians. Okay, so that's all the stuff that we see over there at on the calendar portion of gun calendars, but we also have a couple other pieces over here. If we click on firearms events for 2024, I think I have everything in the calendar there, but if you're not interested in looking at it in that calendar point of view, or if you just want to copy and paste some stuff, we also have it kind of segmented out here with the rallies. I think our next rally after our Arizona rally last weekend, our next rally coming up will be New Hampshire in March, and that was tentative, so I'll have to go look that up and see if it became more permanent or not. And then in April, the IGOL, the Illinois Gun Owners Lobby Day, is coming up. And then in April, there might also be some kind of a Missouri gun rights rally day at the Capitol. It'd be awesome if other states were doing something. If they are, let me know. Then we've got the new gun laws. I added that section this year because a lot of states mostly had negative stuff happen. A couple of states resisted some things or prevented some things. Then we got some training events listed here. Ambassador Academy just happened. The Girl in the Gun National Conference is going to be larger than ever this year. That happens in April. The Mingle comes up in May. Train and Learn also happens in May. In July, you've got Rick Ector we talked about earlier, in his 13th annual Legally Armed in Detroit get together for 2 days. He trains ladies. He's done this before with up to 2,000 ladies getting free firearms orientation and instruction and familiarization and time on the range. Then you got AmCon coming up in September. But other events like Dragon Man's is opening up in April for tours of his museum. The NRA annual meeting is coming up in May. When is the GOA thing? Is August 17th, I think it said. But the NAGA convention is coming up in Dallas in July. The Gun Rights Policy Conference is scheduled for September. And Gun Prom, which is also San Diego Gun Owners, is coming up in October. There's some other stuff to list here. We've got a bunch of shooting events like Thunder on the Prairie, which is coming up. But I think the most imminent things are coming up in March. So that would be the machine gun shoot here in Arizona, and probably another hunting thing. Or if there is anything else, it would be a hunting thing that I don't have off the top of my head. So if you want to go check that stuff out, again, thanks to our Patreons who give me the time to set these things up and then make it possible for the servers to keep that thing up. You notice there's no ads over there because that's not our goal. Our goal is to get the information out there and help promote the people and the projects and the organizations that are doing this stuff. We've got military interviews coming up next, but I got to drink some coffee. Tonight I'm trying a Breva, I think that's what it's called, where you take heavy cream and coffee and mix it together. And that's very cold. So I'll drink the hotter coffee out of here. Well, Ron Wayne is definitely gonna, well, I'm not gonna say definitely, but it's definitely looking like Ron Wayne is gonna walk home with all these patches. Thank you very much. And I don't want to leave you hanging, so we're going to throw an extra handful in there, no matter what, because you participated and everybody else who claims to be capitalist is not participating. So we're going to talk about, I guess I'll hide that comment. We'll talk about some of the military interviews that happen. I talk about these every week. One, because they're epic, and two, they're valuable. They're super valuable. You may not be interested in the military side of it. You don't have to be. But these are mostly conversations, depending on who's doing the conversation, about their origin stories, like what gave them the motivation to do what they did, their kind of process, how they got there. And everybody's a little bit different, and everybody's different, period. That's just the diversity there should be obvious. Then they all had some adventures, and because these are military people interviewing military people, there is definitely that aspect of it where they talk about the actual events that happened in their military careers. But again, most of the conversations, or at least half of these conversations, are about their time in and then their transition afterwards. And we talk about suicide being an important part of the right to own firearms in the conversations in 2024. Who do you fucking think are doing the suicides? Fucking done, right? Am I done? Like, this is what we're talking about. So listening to people who are the most at risk, the people that are having to deal with the issue more than anyone else, because it's their brothers and sisters that are dealing with the situations. Listening to their transition stories is remarkable. It is some of the most inspiring shit, some of the most depressing shit, some of the most interesting shit, and it's all real. So it's no scripted bullshit. It's no produced, like, let's say it this way so that we can get to sell some new thing. Like, this is legit shit. And this is stuff that back in, I don't know, people don't realize this or take it for granted probably. But, when Vietnam happened, do you remember what happened when people came home from Vietnam? Do you remember what happened when people came home from Korea? It's a whole different. The forgotten war, they say that because of what happened when the dudes came home from Vietnam or from Korea. We are not good at everything, but we do grow as a society and as a country. We have taken this to a whole nother level with the transition of veterans coming out. Now, there's some gaps here. It would be great to hear some conversations with people who aren't tip of the spear. Almost all these conversations are people that are tip of the spear or immediate support for tip of the spear. Some incredible, interesting shit. It would be much more interesting to hear or it would be just as interesting to hear the conversations with the people who take the actual brunt of the load, which is every fucking buddy else. Massive numbers of stories there. Sure, there's a ton of boring shit. There's some boring shit, but I'll tell you what, if you don't think that a big chunk of what you volunteer for in the military is to be bored off your fucking ass so that a million other things can happen, then that's what it's all about. Is, you know, the pyramid is a bunch of people standing there in the middle that always get overlooked. And then the stuff on the outside that people pay attention to happens, right? So these conversations are awesome. Now, that being said, this is an excellent set this week. So this is a dude that grew up in Spain. This is Team House. Team House is a ranger and a Green Beret that interview people live. Everybody else is recorded, but kind of edited a little bit once in a while. They almost all edit to some extent, because if they start talking about something and they get a little bit too comfortable, they might say somebody's name, or they might say something that'll get them in trouble because they're not supposed to talk about everything. So sometimes they'll edit out somebody's name or something like that, but rarely are they editing much else. But the live ones are live, and you know my opinion on live. So Team House is awesome because it's these two dudes that do a great job of interviewing people. They almost always read the books ahead of time. If the person wrote a book, they're familiar with their situation and they ask useful questions. They've got Patreons that support the show, which are also participatory. And then they've got people in the live chats, which are honestly about 50-50. Sometimes they're just a bunch of drunk people watching a show on a Friday night because it happens on Friday night. But sometimes they're people that are actually either involved or aware of the situations and asking useful questions. So it's at a whole nother level when it's live. So it's a live conversation with this dude. He grows up in Spain, and he grows up with his dad being, I think if I remember right, his dad was a pilot, or his dad worked with the Air Force as a partner force with the United States. So his dad effectively, because of his dad being in the service with Spain as a partner force to the United States, this dude, Alejandro, I don't know how to say his name. This dude, I'm going to say AJ, I don't know what his real name is or how to say it. He grows up in military bases, U.S. military bases. He ends up going to different countries with his dad. So he ends up going to high school, I think, or at least, you know, the developmental part of school, playing football with U.S. kids at Germany or in Germany or someplace. So going around Europe and playing our kind of football against other European kids. So he grew up essentially an American, but from Spain. But he's an American because he was born on a base or something. So he's an American, and he's got this Spanish, whatever, origin. Then comes the United States, and long story short, eventually becomes a ranger. And he's such a cool story. Then he goes into the NFL, just the football sports, and becomes a pro football sports. And then he comes out of that and does some other stuff. I mean, he does other things. So super, super cool conversation with this guy, and a really neat story. Then we've got Mike Drop, which is a SEAL, who's a dog handler, talking to another SEAL. It was okay. You know, SEALs talking to SEALs. They talk about the water or whatever they do. And then combat story is the guy who's the Apache pilot, and then a CIA guy gets out, starts interviewing people. He's interviewing two different SEALs. So we've had, I don't know if it's two-parters, but it's certainly a conversation with this guy and a conversation with this guy, and then a conversation with them together. And it's interesting. They're SEALs, you know, talking about their adventures and their time in, but having them have full conversations with each of them, and then having them a full conversation together, I'm going to call it epic, because it's just, even though they didn't necessarily do the amazing, you know, the most amazing things or singular things, they did a lot of things. Just the way that it was approached and having the in-depth conversations about it, and then the chance to have the two together after was pretty neat, pretty interesting concept. I don't know if I'd want to do that all the time, but I'd certainly like to see that applied to more situations where people kind of where their people's stories intertwined. Anyway, so then hopefully I didn't chat those up too much, but I don't think I do. I really, really do enjoy these things. I look forward to them each week. Let's see. combat story. This guy comes out on Saturday morning, so he'll be out tomorrow morning. Team House comes out right before Gizzard, so that's usually live right up until Gizzard starts. Sometimes it corks Gizzard a little bit, depending if they go long. Mic drop happens sometime during the week, like on a Tuesday or Wednesday or sometime. I'll just be minding my business, and there's a new one of those. So these kind of stagger out a little bit over the week. And then if I miss one, I've always got one to check out. If you mix in Ed's Manifesto in there and a couple of the others, then you can almost listen to one of these conversations each day, especially if you spread out to Sean Ryan or some of the other ones that are happening out there. I mean, there's certainly other military interview shows. I just really like the style of these shows and the people that they pick as guests. All right, well, I guess that's about it. We did a live quiz on, I don't remember, last week, Sunday maybe? And then we had our 75 questions for content creators. Hopefully that one was useful. We got some good feedback on it. So we'll continue to offer content coaching on Tuesday mornings. That's something that, again, I think is useful as we get into 2024. There's going to be a lot of the old, what do you call them, cicadas? You know, there's people that come out every 4 years when it's election time. It's going to be that time of year where we're going to start to see, hey, remember me? It's been a while, but I finally got my blah, blah, blah together, and I'm back for this thing. There's going to be a lot of that this year, and, they'll be gone again after the election money and funding runs out. But this is the most effective time to have people's in the game. There's a lot of people going to be having discussions, a lot of people out there looking to do research and to search things and be looking stuff up on search engines. And the more people that are out here participating on the internet will create more stuff to be found. All right. Well, with that, I guess we'll say congratulations to Ron Wayne for participating in the very capitalist super chat adventure. I'll try one of these during the day, and they seem to have more effect, I guess, when people are awake. People at night, they don't want to participate in the super chat thing. Let's see. We'll go backwards in the comments here. One of my 3 best friends from high school is a current SEAL. 15 or 20 years now. Right on. It's definitely interesting because this one, I kind of blew it off there because they're just 2 SEALs talking to each other. But when it is 2 SEALs talking to each other, there's only so many combinations. It's either going to be 2 old SEALs talking to each other, an old SEAL talking to an even older SEAL. None of them are new, so none of the interviewers are new. So there's nothing like a new SEAL talking to a new SEAL. But sometimes it'll be the old guy talking to 2 new guys. That's happened before. In this case, though, it's a new guy talking to a younger guy, or an older guy talking to a younger guy. And there was a bit of conversation about the differences in, experience, or the differences in the what's the word? The onboarding, or whatever the word is, like on the, the ramp ups and stuff that they got to do. I don't know what Superman ice cream is, so I guess nobody participated tonight, but I'll go see what Superman ice cream even is. Is that a flavor you're saying? So it's ice cream that's these. Is it sherbet? If that was sherbet, I'd be eating the heck out of it. Not with sprinkles, though. Superman ice cream, 4 ingredients and no ice cream maker. Oh, wait a minute. What is this then? This is something else besides regular ice cream? Oh no, 3 flavor. I thought it said 3 ingredient ice cream. Michigan and Wisconsin. Is it going to tell us where the flavors are? The exact is not a well-defined color scheme. Call for Blue Moon as the blue component. Are they going to tell us what the flavors are? Oh, here they are. So Blue Moon, Red Pop, and Vanilla. That would be disappointing if the yellow is vanilla flavor. Banana, strawberry, and blueberry sounds pretty good. I mean, I don't want it that personally, but at least that sounds normal. Raspberry, cherry, and vanilla. I don't want to see why this is the yellow vanilla. That makes no sense. It should either be banana or lemon. Raspberry, bubblegum, and lemon sounds gross. I don't know what Blue Moon is, but cherry and lemon sounds pretty good. So Southeastern grocers sound like they knew what was going on. Blue Moon, Red Pop, and lemon. I guess that could be okay. But a beer company making ice cream? I saw Blue Moon at the store recently. Blueberry, maybe? Oh, no. Blue Mint. You could make Blue Mint. It's the wrong color for mint, but I don't know what Blue Moon is. It probably says up here what it is. But no, I had no idea. I didn't know that was a thing. I don't know when I'm eating ice cream next, but if I ever see it, I might eat it just to check it out. I like sherbet. I don't know if I've ever eaten like lemon ice cream before. Have I ever eaten blueberry ice cream? But what is that Italian sherbet, like gelato? If it wasn't $1 million, you could make that out of gelato, and I'd eat that because that would taste fruity or whatever. Anyway, so that was Runway winning the super chat off. The super chat off is what we're going to call it, maybe. I don't know. With that, thank everybody for joining us. And, oh man, 2 hours. I guess my 1 hour so I can get some work done didn't work. No, completely didn't work. It's tomorrow already. So, anyway, hopefully the show was decent for everybody. Give us some feedback. And most of the people that listen to this are typically listen to it as a podcast. So whenever you're downloading it or you're on that system, I know that half the time you don't even have to go to that system. But when you do, the people that take the time to give us that thumb up or click to whatever it is, indicator for the logarithms, it's much appreciated since no one really does it. Let's see. Although saying, believe it or not, fans often cite Fruit Loops as the cereal as one of the main notes in Blue Moon flavor profile. Other guesses included vanilla with a hint of citrus, amaretto, lemon, and cotton candy. Like, is that a bunch of ores or all together? But yeah, I was going to say Blue Moon. I could see that being like a Fruit Loop, like I don't want to call it like a melon, but just like a sugary flavor, like a milk sugary flavor. I don't know. Moon, I guess maybe I was thinking mook or milk because of the moon part of it. All of them. Holy moly. All right, well, there we go. So I don't know if we come up with something else. I guess maybe ice cream was the problem this week. Maybe people didn't want to venture a favorite ice cream because they all hated ice cream. So maybe we'll do some other thing next week, or we probably will do some other thing next time. Feel free to leave a comment or a suggestion of what else to try. Although if anyone wants to try it now, yeah, I could totally hear that. Luckily, there's nothing open here now, so I don't have to even worry about being tempted. But I'm going to go eat some grapes. Those are cold and fruity. I'll get rid of that. We'll throw this guy back up here. We'll go through those patches again. Thanks to Ron. Like I say, I think I already sent you a couple of these, so I'll just grab another handful out of the bag. And stay tuned for... Dang, what is next? If Tony's around tomorrow, I'll try to do something with Tony tomorrow. But he's been pretty busy. He might want to just take a weekend to not do anything. But we'll see. Woods has a good point. If you don't have chocolate, are you really ice creaming? That's what I was going to say. Is if you're going to make it all tutti frutti, I mean, I don't know if I need the ice cream for that. It can be sherbet or whatever. And then, I don't think there's any chocolate necessary there. Yeah, like I say, he was at Ambassador Academy last weekend, or actually 5 days at Ambassador Academy. He just barely got home yesterday, I think. But then the weekend before that, he was at Oh, the Great American Outdoor Show. And the weekend before, like right after SHOT Show, I was like, hey, we're tired or whatever. I was doing stuff. I'm like, hey, let's just meet up next week. He's like, yeah, no problem. And then now it's 3 weeks later or whatever. So, like I say, if he's around tomorrow. It wasn't a real crazy taste. I think I just closed that page, but it sounded like they still make it. It sounds like it's just regional, like it's a flavor from Michigan and in Minnesota, Minnesota and Michigan, or was it Wisconsin and Michigan? Wisconsin and Michigan touch. You know, there's a whole thing about how the upper peninsula of Wisconsin was stolen by Michigan. So there's a whole different, like, they're intertwined. Those two states are intimately intertwined. Oh, you know who to ask is Clover. Doesn't his kid own an ice cream factory? I'm pretty sure that's how it is. His kid owns an ice cream factory. Okay, I keep yawning. Thanks everybody for joining us. Have a great evening. We'll throw a quick commercial out here.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
Shit.
Ninja? Ninja! Ninja! Ah!